What's going on, YouTube? It's KP from Ben Having Records, and today I'll be breaking down how I mix this Akon session. But first, I want to give a special shout out to Wavy Wayne and Matthew Weiss for making this video possible. I'll be linking their channels down below in the description. Make sure y'all show them some love. This template will be free to download. I won't be including any stems, any audio, just my plugins and my routing. This is a perfect template for starting artists, or you got a home studio setup to get a quick, good result sound. It's good for educational purposes, for inspiring engineers, but I want you to know why I use certain plugins versus what I just use. So learn why I use what I use versus what I use. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. So as you can see, it's a ton of tracks. Alright, so first, I'm gonna break down, open all these stems for the melody first. We're gonna go melody and on down. And see, what I like to do is I like color coding the beat and all that. Just kind of give me more organization in my session. Let me know what everything is. Let me see. Alright. Let me solo these. Alright, so the first thing I did was for the strings, wrote off most of the low end, leaving space for the bass. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Alright, for the pad, wrote off most of the low end, leaving enough space around 125 hertz. Wrote most of that off, and then the bass. Before I get any further, what I love doing is I gotta keep my VU meter open, making sure nothing going too far over. So for the bass, I did a high pass and a low pass up to like 260, 270 hertz. And then that's it for the equalizer. Then I did a R bass, put a little intensity on there and drop the frequency down. And then what I did was I side chained the sub to the kick. So every time the kick hits, the sub kind of ducks to give it a little space, because they both in the same frequency, to keep everything from being so much muddy. Let me see, where's the kick? Let me see. See, that's why I like color coding everything, because drums down here, I can go right to it. So I got the side chain titled. So if I just solo the side chain drums and a kick. Oh no, it's over here. No, that's not the kick. Right here. Alright, yeah, so okay. So as you see, every time the bass hit, the kick kind of ducks to leave a little more space in the mix. When you working with subs and kicks, you always want to try to side chain to give yourself a little bit more space. Then I went Abbey Road saturation, not doing too much, kind of left it default just to give it that little extra grit. For the guitar, F6 RTA, boosted the highs and the mids just to give it that extra ring. High pass, wrote off everything to about 250 on the low end. Then the Sheps, I used the preset for this, but mostly just to bring out those high frequencies. And then the plug, the low pass and the high pass on the plug. Simple. Nothing too crazy. piano. Let me see. Yeah, so on the piano, I did another high pass, boosting the frequencies around 8K, around 3K, subtly, just to give it that extra life in the song. And then for my strings, this is a little trick I like to do for my strings. I like to you got the basic EQ rolled off the low end. With the strings, I like to put the stereo enhancer, the S1 imager, just to give it that width, so you can hear both and more in both ears. It kind of it make the strings cut through the mix without you having to turn it up or do too much. And then I did the same thing with the sitar. So that sound, it punched through the mix, but it's not that loud, but it punched through the mix. Alright, so that's about enough for the main melody. Here's the aux I did for the first trumpet. Simple roll off of the low end, boosted the high end on the trumpet just to get that extra blare at the end. Hold on, let me solo this. A lot of tracks. Yes, a lot of tracks. Oh, I'm tripping. But yeah, so I just rolled off most of the low end, tame like the low mids around the 500 hertz section, just to make it a little bit more crispy. Raised the highs, I kept this about the same, and I took off a little bit of the high end just to, keep it smooth. Let me see. Play that one more time. Hold up. So you got that clean sound. And then CLA 2A did slight compression just to keep everything smooth. Put a vitamin on there. And another S1 imager for like strings, horns, like instruments. I love stereo enhancing instruments just so they don't have to be too loud, but they still have like its own place in the mix. Send it to a reverb, simple, smooth. I'm gonna do the second trumpet. So these are with trumpet 1 and 2 playing. These are both trumpets playing. Oh, I'm tripping. That's the trombone too. Oh, the trumpet with the trombone. So it's kind of like the same thing on the trumpet. On the trombone, but on the trombone, I toned down a lot of the highs around the 8K frequency, and then I did another low end roll off just to give it a more clean, and I boosted the mids. Another CLA for the compression, but this time I went J37, and then imager. Oh yeah, and then what I forgot to say was, on both of the horns come in it's a special part in the song on the hook. So what I did was I side chained the horns to the main vocal lead. So when the horns come in, it's not like fighting with Akon's voice because they're like in the same frequency. So it's space for both to sit in the mix. So you always want to keep that in mind when you're working with multiple instruments and an artist that kind of lays in the same frequency. Let me see. Oh yeah, topped it off with a reverb on both. I forgot to play those in there just to give it that extra ambience. I wanted to sound a little funky. Alright, that's enough of that. Alright, and then let me unsolo these. it's just mostly Waves plugins. So if you got the Waves bundle, this would be perfect for you. All right, moving on. We got our drums. See, when it comes to the drums, very simple, not too much. Another thing I want to say, simple is more. You don't have to do a lot. If you find yourself trying to like do a lot in the mix, it's probably already bad to begin with. So just start all over. Just keep it simple. All right. So yeah, let me see what the solo is. Where's this at? All right. This is more second drums. All right. So this the bass drum at the end. Did a high end roll up, rolled off out of high end, just leaving me with the lows. And then what they did was they did multiple clap tracks. So they had an actual band in the studio. So this was kind of cool. So it's like a load. It's like a bunch of clap tracks. But it goes with the song though very well. So basically, with all these claps, yeah, I forgot. Let me go back to the horns. So with the what I did with the horns was I panned it. So when you working with multiple takes and you doing like overdubs, your doubles, you're gonna make sure you pan it so it can have more characteristics. So like the lead trumpet horn is pan center. It's in the pan to the center. But the second one I got it pan like 20 to the right, 10 to the left, and then the next one I got it pan 10 to the right. I'm just playing with like different pans to give it like more characteristics. Hold on, I'm gonna play them trumpets one more time. I forgot about that. Trumpet hawks. So it's like it's not too much, but you can hear enough equally. It's like it's paying. It give it that full surround. Cause usually when you hear a band, whether it's a concert setup or a marching band setup, it's more like a arc. It's not just right in front of you. It's usually like a surround type sound. So I used the panning, then the S1 stereo and had the S1 stereo imaging from Waves that just give it that real life feeling. So then back to the drums. So what I did with the claps was since we had a lot of clap tracks, kind of got a little creative. Did the same thing I did with the horn melodies. I panned the claps to the left and the right. So you see on the main clap. Hold up, where is it? Oh no, I think I got them all pan. Yeah, so on all these claps, I got it pan 81 to the left on this one, 81 to the right, 10 to the left on this one, 14 to the right, 27 to the right on this one, 27 to the left, just to give it that more dynamic range. Sound decent. Just give it a little bit more life. And then you see the last clap, I left it at 0, so you can still have that clap in the center. And all these F6s are probably about the same. Just roll off that low end, get a crispy clap. Let me see what's next. Yeah, same thing. I did really F6 on majority of these. What's this? Okay, all right. That's another little good breakdown. All right, so what I did was, so usually when you working with loops, like you have the kick separate, the drum set separate, but in this particular loop, the kick, the clap, all that was in one sound, was in one loop. So what I did was I duplicated one loop and then I rolled off the high end and the low end just so I can get that kick sound for the side chain because there's so many frequencies in a regular track. I didn't want to sidechain that because it just be too much. So I duplicated this and then cut off, wrote off the high end, and then I sidechained this kick with the bass. Play the bass up here. Just give it that easy punch, smooth punch, easy going. So it's like the kick and the sub not fighting each other. It's working together. What's next? I left that playing for the fill. Reverb, it's a drum fill right here. Slight reverb, imaging, F6 RTA, roll off majority of that low end. Moving along, let's see what we got next. Yeah, so most of these sounds I simple F6 rolling off the low end. Like when it comes to mixing drums, you don't have to do a whole lot. You just gotta make sure everything is clean and hitting right. I took off majority of the low end on the snare, slightly raised the high end around 8K, around like 3 dB. Let me see this kick. About the same thing. This is another separate kick. It's more like an electronic kick. So I kind of reduced the high end just to get that little electric high end sis out. Then I rolled off a little bit of low end. And this kick is also side chained as well. Alright, so enough of the drums. Now we get into the fun part, the vocals. Hold up, let me turn these down. Let me get those right. Alright, let me try these Alright, so when I'm doing the vocals, I like to send everything to the bus. Make sure you have waves tune, or not waves tune, but whatever auto tune you use. I put auto tunes on each individual track. So if it's a certain punch in that's kind of like auto tune that needs more tuning, you can tune that specific punch in rather than trying to retune like one whole loop. And it kind of mess it up. It just kind of give you more characteristics. So I'm gonna let you all hear. I'm gonna let you all hear how it sounds. I'm gonna let you all hear how to. I'm gonna let you all hear how it sounds with no effects, and then I'm gonna let you all hear how it sounds with effects. Solo this, solo that, solo that, solo. And this is just with auto tune. No effects, drop vocals, just auto tune. Eres una chica so. Take this up, bro. Eres una chica sobrenatural. Tu cara bonita a mí me tiene muy mal. No respondo si algo llegara a pasar. Alright, so as you can hear, pretty good vocal. One thing that I want to make sure that I explain and make sure that y'all understand is you have to start out with a good recording. You can't polish something bad. It's just gonna sound like something bad that's been polished. Your starting out recording has to be a good recording. Make sure you're getting quality audio. Make sure your mic is not clipping. Make sure your levels and everything is right. So, because you gotta think about it, when you mixing, you putting a lot of processing on your vocals. So if you got a bad recording, all you're gonna do is enhance a bad recording. You know, you wanna have a good starting out recording. The better you can have your recording sounding with no plugins is how your final is how better your final mix will sound. Hold on, my pop filter acting up. Fix this pop filter. But yeah, so I'm gonna play it one more time with no effects.
Es una chica sobrenatural. Tu cara bonita a mí me tiene muy mal.
Then I'm gonna go back and play it with effects. Then this is with effects.
Eres una chica sobrenatural. Tu cara bonita a mí me tiene muy mal. No respondo si algo llegara a pasar. Yeah.
Alright, cool. Alright, so what I started out was a simple F6. In the song, it's a part in the song where it's a frequency around this 250 to 500 hertz. It just bleeds. So I harshly tamed this crazy, and then a little soft. I brought it down around like what 1.5, 2 dB around the 3K range. Then I boosted the highs in 8K and took off a little high end just to give it that clarity. Sometimes too much high end isn't good. Just roll it off just so it can sit within the mix. Did a simple RVox. Got the gate, heavy gate, easy compression, running through a CLA 2A. I love the CLA 2A on singers, people that got smooth voices. It just works so smooth. I wouldn't recommend this for more hip hop music. I mean, it's all experiments, but I use this more on like smooth sounds just to give it that more quality. Running through the SSL. I didn't do too much, just a little highs. I boosted the highs a little bit, and I took out just a little bit of the lows. I'm not doing too much with the SSL. I hit it with the de-esser around a 5,000 frequency range, and then topped it off with the Fairchild. Simple. And then for the reverb, then for the reverb, size at 100. I got the wet and dry at 100%. What I mostly do is I like to mess with the time, just to leave it around like a 4 second, release on the reverb, just to give it that space. And then I go delay, H delay, half note delay, ping pong, so you can hear left right ear. You know, simple. And then another little trick you can do to make your delay sound a little spicy is use automation. So you just don't want your delay just repeating everything, because there's times where the delay is not really much needed because there's a lot of words going on. So what I like to do is I like to bring the delay in when it's like dead spots in the lead vocals. So when it's like a little break, let me see, like right here.
Chica sobrenatural, tu cara bonita a mí me tiene muy mal.
So you see right here when he like repeatedly talking, the delay is not on. It's just the reverb filling up that space. But when he comes to a pause, that reverb get turned up.
Muy mal.
I mean, not the reverb, but the delay. Excuse me.
No respondo si algo llegara a pasar. Yeah. Aquí no hay
So you see when he stopped, I bring up the delay just to fill that void of, So yeah, a good trick you can use is just automation. It's hard to believe, but automation and just with the delay will make your record sound a lot more better. So moving on to the ad libs. Drag these out. Zoom in a little bit. So then again, back when we was talking about the horns or when you got layered sounds, the key to mixing layered sounds is panning and imaging. So what I did was I got all the ad libs ran to the bus. I don't know why I used this. I used the F6 on everything else, but I went Q10. I went Q10 on the equalizer, roll majority of the low end off, raised a little bit of the highs around like 4K. Simple EQ, R compressor, hit it with the vitamin. I love the vitamin working on like ad libs as well because you can get like that extra clarity. Then I went to S1 stereo imager to give it that spread, and then that flanger for that extra sauce. So let me turn out these main vocals. Alright, so I'm gonna play the reverb track dry, and then I'm gonna play it with effects. Oh yeah, and then we got the delay and the reverb. I'm sorry, yeah, I didn't talk about my delays and my reverb much, but I'm basically using H delay and R verb on all my reverb or delay needs. It's what sounds the best to me, but you can experiment with what you like best. You know, I always say don't don't try to use what I use. Learn why I use what I use, and then put your own sauce on it. What I like, you might not like. So let me see. All right, so I'm gonna bypass everything so y'all can hear the ad libs dry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hold on, is that dry? Yeah. All right. Doesn't it sound so good you ain't even know it's dry?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, so again, panning is key when you working with layered sounds. So you see the main ad lib pan to center is pan to the center. And then I got these pan. I got this second ad lib pan 56 left, 99 right. I'm just experimenting for real. And then 56 to the right on this one. And then since this one was kind of like a sheesh, this particular ad lib down here was like a stereo track, so I just left it pan to the center. I'm gonna play it one more time with no effects.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Alright, then we finna play it with effects.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Simple. Not too much to it. Not too much to it. What's this? Okay, and they had a band in the studio, so with the band vocals, I really didn't do too much. Kind of hit it with like a simple EQ waves tone. No matter if it doesn't sound pitchy, you want to make sure everything's just in key, just cause you never want to be working in a project and these things is not tuned, especially when you're working with a record. Melodic is this one. So
Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Ajá. El negrito! El negrito! Woo!
so as you can see, I kind of did like a lot of automation within the clips because it sounded like in the studio they were just kind of like loud. So and it was like really interfering with Akon's vocals, especially when it's time for the hook to come back in. This part right here at the end was really that part was really interfering with Akon's vocals. So I made sure, just to give it a little automation, give it some more life. So it kind of is. It's more like a instead of a vocal, it's more like a what do I call it? Like a feel, like a drop and a beat to get a song a little bit more life. And I think that concludes. I got stuff on my mastering plug-in chain, but I really won't get too much into that because this is simply just like mixing related. But what I will say is my view meter, you always want to make sure your view meter stays between that 1 and 0 range. You never want to be in the red. Subjective sound can always trick you, but you always, just want to make sure you're looking at meters and make sure nothing is clipping, and then make sure it translates to any system you want to listen on. So that's about it for this project. If you learn something, like, comment, share, subscribe, whatever. Like I said earlier in this video, shout out to Wavy Wayne, shout out to Matthew Weiss for making this video possible. If you want the template, excuse me, like, comment, subscribe, drop your email. I'm sending the template out. I'm not sending any audio, just my sends and my plugins, just the sends and the plugins. For engineers, this is a great learning session to see what I did, how I did, why I did it. Aspiring artists, you got a home studio. This is to be something quick for you to start up your recordings or whatever the case may be. But yeah, that's about it for this video.